What's going on, everybody? It's Tim, and I've got a lot to talk to you about today. If you didn't see my previous Voyager video, I'll leave it down below in the description, as well as some links to some free stocks and cryptos. But in this video, I wanted to go over some stocks and how they're absolutely popping today. I'm gonna give you my thoughts on if I think this is gonna continue. We're gonna look at Bitcoin as well, it's popping too, and we're gonna look at the SPY. I'll give you my thoughts there. So let's get into this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell if you like my content, and let's take a look at some stocks. So first off, I wanted to show you Bitcoin. You know, this thing is absolutely running. We just broke 20,000. Do I think it's going to continue? I think we could run up to about 20,500 probably before losing steam and pulling back a bit. That's just my prediction, but you'll see that we did break out of our descending resistance here, this red line. And I personally think ever since June, we've been kind of in this accumulation phase. We really haven't been that volatile. It's just been kind of sideways from the 18 to the $21,000 area. Not a whole lot of action. And no one's really been talking much about Bitcoin. It's just been kind of doing its own thing in the background. It's been very quiet. But recently we had a very nice pop here. We've been stuck range bound from 19 to 20. 20 was kind of becoming our resistance. We just broke out of it. I personally think 20,500, as I said, will become our resistance here. I definitely think we have a strong resistance here at 20,500. It has bounced off of it quite a few times. Now, you all know my thoughts on Bitcoin. I think even at its current price, it's a great buy. It's great to DCA while you still can. We're coming towards the tail end of crypto winter. I personally think we can have a couple more months of some pain, but it can flip very quickly. You'd be very surprised. I do think the halving cycles are still playing out, the 4-year cycles, and it hasn't been proven false yet. I personally think we have a couple months left before blast off. And of course, I gotta talk about CleanSpark after Bitcoin. We had a very nice pop. This was trading in the high 2s and it just popped into 350 just about. We just broke out of our descending resistance, similar to Bitcoin, big surprise. I personally am not certain that this rally is going to continue. I would argue that we're probably going to come back down where we were. This is just a little bear market pop. We still have a lot of macro factors that are negative. The Fed is still going to continue to raise rates. And while there was a time in history where the stock market started rallying while the Fed was raising rates, I don't think this is going to be the same. And if you want to watch the video that references that 2017 rally we had, I believe it was in 2017, but, you know, during that time, inflation was near a record low, interest rates were extremely low, the economy was doing fantastic, and the Fed was raising rates for different reasons. The Fed wasn't raising the rates because of the same reasons that they are now. So I don't think we're going to experience the same long-term lasting rally while Fed is going to raise rates. I personally think the Fed's going to continue to raise rates while possibly at a lower amount. You know, they might go from 75 down to 50 down to 25, but they're still going to be raising rates, and that's the key factor here. And I don't think the stock market is going to turn around until they stop raising rates. So I personally think while Bitcoin is you know, could rally before the whole stock market does, I personally think the stock market is going to continue to kind of hold down CleanSpark. I don't think a rally is going to happen while the Fed continues to raise rates. And I honestly think this is just being set up to drop a little bit further. And by that, I meant the entire market. I mean, looking at the SPY, you'll see that we're in this kind of longer term downtrend. We are coming up towards this $400 area. I can definitely see us having a little farther run before we start pulling back. We need to really start seeing inflation coming down. And even if inflation was to go from where it's at around 8 down to 6, that's still not enough. So I do think stocks can go lower. And you also have to remember, you know, the stock market is forward looking. So once it's on the horizon that the Fed can stop raising rates, and I'm talking in the future months from now when they're only raising rates by potentially, you know, 25 basis points. I think even at that point, once it's, you know, a couple months out to a year out, that the Fed can actually stop raising rates and can turn around and lower rates, I think then and only then will the stock market start recovering. I personally think we're a few more months away. I mean, there's no insight in my eyes for the Fed raising rates. We can definitely go another couple percentage points. I mean, mortgage rates right now are 7%, and that's absolutely ridiculous. That's not the end though. They can definitely go higher before the Fed finally turns around. But overall, I see the SPY, you know, could definitely come up a little farther before we start pulling back and creating new lows, breaking our 350 and going down as low as 340 and lower. It is nice to see a little rally while it lasts, and we have companies like Bngo up 16%. This thing is absolutely popping today. It broke out of this pattern that I showed you guys the other day. It fell back into it. I think this is going to be short-lived, but what you're going to want to watch for Bngo is a respect of this ascending support here. You want to see Bngo respect this ascending support, you know. And if you're considering, should I buy now, should I wait for lower levels, I mean, even where it's at, I personally hate buying on days where you're up 15%, up 20% or something like that. I'd wait for another day. But having said that, you know, if you're just DCAing, I still think Bngo, CleanSpark, ChargePoint, Indy, Workhorse, Senseonics. There's definitely other names I didn't list. I definitely think all of these names are criminally undervalued when you're looking at the prospects that these companies have over the next couple of years. I mean, look at BNGO, constantly publishing more peer-reviewed studies showing that their OGM is superior in more ways than one. We've got ChargePoint continuing to expand into Europe, beating quarter after quarter. Now they're at $100 million in revenue, consistent revenue growth. We've got CleanSpark continuing to increase their hash rate, continuing to acquire more and more rigs, more facilities during this bear market. We've got Senseonics, FDA approved, expanding into Europe, an extremely innovative product, beautiful revenue growth. We've got Indie, one of the most criminally, and I mean criminally, underrated companies out there. A killer team of execs, consistent revenue growth. All of these small caps are getting slept on only because on the technicals they're bearish, only because we're in a continued downtrend. At some point as a long-term investor, you have to decide that even though it's in a clear downtrend, when am I going to start picking some of this up? But that's basically it for you guys. Just wanted to go on a little rant, talk about some of these companies that I think are insanely undervalued and will do me and you very well in the next coming years, in my opinion. But how do you feel about them? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think this rally is going to continue? Do you think we've already seen the bottom and we are only up from here? Or do you think we're heading for some new lower lows? As a side note, I do want to mention that many of these small caps have not broken their May 11 lows, and I'm honestly uncertain if we will break those lows, but I do think that this rally is short-lived and we will come down lower and coming back into this kind of a accumulation phase where we just trade sideways for a bit. That's just my personal opinion and I'm sticking to it. Definitely leave yours down below. Thanks as always, guys, and take it easy.